All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the spread, March 2nd, 9 o'clock a.m. And this is our final spread. Oh shit, hold on. All right, there we go. Sorry. I had the sound on and things were happening in my head, but this is the final spread that will feature um a full entire slate
That's sad.
before the end of the
I'm gonna
season in
cry, Joe.
2019. Chris, happy St. Patty's Day. I know it's a little early, but it is Leprechaun in Hoboken today, and I see you are feeling very festive.
Yeah, I'm ready. It's very sad though that you mentioned that this is the last full slate of college basketball. Plenty of conference tournament stuff to come up, but this is like the beginning. Obviously it's March 2nd, but the beginning of what this month brings and how everything unfolds, and it's almost like the lead up to the big moment. And sometimes people say the lead up is even better than the moment itself. So
It's true.
just hold your loved ones close. Appreciate what you have here.
All right, and I appreciate the money that you have, and we're about to double it today because this is where Leprechaun is where the money is made, Chris. I mean, with how bad last year's Leprechaun was, it is only logical to think that this year is the year of the brunch on Leprechaun Saturday. So it is time to get into the bets here.
I admire your optimism, and
Yeah.
just to preface, as always,
If we're not optimistic, then why are we betting? I mean, if you don't think you're going to win,
yeah, scared money don't make money. Just to preface, as always, we will be giving our picks, and I'm sure you will be doing some as well as I am that are not at the line yet that we want. So, keep in mind, wait on those lines. Wait on, what we're telling you to bet. I believe last week I had a bunch, and I think only 5 hit. I might have went like 2, 2, and 1 for transparency. But I think it's important to stick by that and really try to, because there was a couple, I think, that I had said to bet if it got to a certain line, didn't get to the line, and they lost. So, you really, and of course, it doesn't mean the half point or whatever was the difference. But the fact is, you don't want to bet a game unless the correct amount of value is there.
Right, correct. All right. So with that being said, we will give our official plays, our potential plays, and we are ready to go here. So let's start. Do you have anything at 12? I don't.
No, a lot of my games are actually later.
Later today, right?
Yeah. And then nothing until 4. So
all right, I also have. Well, I have a 1 o'clock. So let's start with the 1 o'clock. And it looks like actually, as we speak here, the audience may be getting a better line than the brunch, which is a rare occurrence, by a half a point. We are starting out in Davidson and Fordham, and the last time these two teams played, we bet Davidson on the road at Fordham. They were given 7. They won it comfortably by, I believe, 10 or 12. We're going back to the well here. Davidson is desperate for a win at this point. I mean, they have not looked great in their past couple, losing 2 out of their last 3. They did win at Rhode Island last Friday. We had them there. I feel like I've had a good feel of when Davidson's going to show up this year. We've won a bunch of Davidson bets, and today I think is no different. Fordham looked absolutely terrible in the second half against St. Joe's. We actually had them, and the spread account had them, and then Chris, we bet out of it in the second half. Unfortunately, the spread followers did not get the second half bet, but yeah, Fordham looked terrible in that first half. I kind of just wasn't feeling it. Told you let's get out of it. It ended up being the good move, but Fordham I think is just not on the level of Davidson. I make this line 15. Right now it's actually 12.5. We bet it at 13. So if it goes back up to 13 and you're listening to this later, you could still take it. But I'm going to say Davidson minus 12.5. I just think that they are so much better talent wise. And they're not the kind of team that's going to just not show up and play sloppy against the team like Fordham. They will lead throughout, and let's just hope that no funny business happens at the end with the big number.
Yeah, gotta really hate the funny business with the big numbers. I think I dealt with it the other day when I laid Fresno, 17 points with Fresno State, and they up 16 with a minute left and couldn't get it done.
Yeah, but, I mean, there's not much you could do. You got to take the value.
You got to take the value, trust the power ratings. I got a 2:00, and I'll go into that one, and I don't have any others till 4. This one is not where I'm at yet, where I like yet, but I like Towson a little bit. Right now they are -5.5. I would not bet it unless it gets to 5. And the reason being, I think there's not enough value here right now, but they're playing Elon. Elon, the worst team in the Colonial by a decent margin, just coming off a big win on the road against JMU. And Towson has played pretty well. I mean, ever since that game in early January, where they were playing Delaware, they were up 1, and Delaware had 2 free throws with like a second left, and they missed both. Since then, they beat Northeastern. They lost to Hofstra, which is fair. Beat Wilmington, lost to Charleston by 1, and then had a couple other wins and a couple other close losses. So then, the other day they had a close loss at home to William & Mary. It's not a bad loss, and they've actually played some of the better defense, I feel like, in the Colonial League this year, especially defending the 3 ball. And I think that's what Elon really, how bad this team is. They take 50% of their shots from 3, so they pretty much just pray that their 3s go in, and more often than not, they don't. So I think if Towson, you can get the value there at 5. If it moves to 5, I like them surprisingly too, because I hated Towson.
You did
for the early part of the year, and laying 5 with them would seem crazy, but I think this team has really improved. Pat Scarry has done a really good job. Former brunch coach, got to give him credit where credit is due. He has been competitive in this league, which, especially in a league where there's a lot of good offenses, and Towson just doesn't score that well, but they've been able to get it done.
All right, I have 3 unders at 2:00, and I don't think you have any of them right now, Chris. So here they come. They're coming out right now. Number 1, we are going to Evansville, Valparaiso, 2 of the worst offenses in the Missouri Valley, and Valparaiso has just played freakishly slow in all of conference play. I just want to, just for reference, give the viewers kind of a rundown of their last few games. They just scored 42 against Bradley, 53 against Northern Iowa, 55 against Southern Illinois. Those are 3 slow-paced teams. The only 2 teams they really got up there and score against are Indiana State and Drake, who both play extremely fast-paced. They're now playing Evansville. Last time they played Evansville, the total got up to 117. It was 64-53. They lost. Evansville does push tempo, but their offense is not good at all. So, I'm going to go first half here to not to avoid any funny business. Evansville, pressing, fouling a lot second half. So I'm going to take first half under Valparaiso, Evansville under 62. Is the total that I'm getting right now. So that is my first under at 2:00. The next one is my favorite of the 3 at 2:00. Massachusetts and Duquesne. These 2 teams have about 8 guys injured. All the key players in this game are hurt. Sincere Carey, I believe, is out again. He just had knee surgery this week. It was minor knee surgery, but I can't see him coming back this quickly. He missed Wednesday's game. So he's their best player. He's the best player for Duquesne. And then on the other side, Luwani Pimpkins has been in and out of the lineup for Massachusetts. Rashawn Holloway missed last game. Curtis Cobb also missed last game. They got absolutely slaughtered by Dayton. At halftime, they were down in the Dayton game 40-18. Dayton absolutely destroyed them, and that was at Massachusetts. This is lost without those 3 players I just named. So with all 4 of those key players out, probably the 4 best players that would have been in this game could all potentially be out in this game. With that being said, I think that this total is extremely too high. I think it's being priced as if these 2 teams are healthy, and UMass and Duquesne are far from it. So UMass scored 47 points without those 3 guys I just mentioned in their last game. I'm sorry, they scored 48, and then Duquesne scored 47 in their last game without Carey. So not saying that the game's going to end up 48-47 today, but we have a plenty big cushion with the total being up at 142 right now. So 142, 143, I am in on the under in Massachusetts and Duquesne. And then finally, we're going to Ohio and Akron, 2 of the worst offenses in the MAC. Akron plays an extremely...
Fun fact, I checked today. Ohio is the worst team against the spread in all of college basketball this season.
Wow. Well, we had them one game that they actually covered last week against Bowling Green. So
good for us. And Drake's still number one. So
yeah, my boys. Big game for them today. Unfortunately, no action on it. But they are going to Missouri State. Chance to win the Valley if they get some help from Loyola. Ohio and Akron, we are going under first half under 61 here. Akron will play slow. We had the under last week's show against Miami. Ohio barely hit it, but Ohio's offense is nowhere near what Miami Ohio's offense is. So these two teams, I think, will play a slow tempo, in the slower tempo in the first half. So I will take the first half under here. Ohio's offense is just it's a complete disaster. There's probably going to be 25 turnovers in this game. No one can shoot. Ohio shoots 55% at the line. I mean, just when you look at the offenses in this game, absolutely dreadful. Last time these two teams played 65-53, 118. So comfortably, I feel good about the under 61 for the first half in Ohio Akron. So those are my 3 at 2 o'clock.
All right, first half under 61. I like it. So hopefully on this Leprechaun Saturday, we are getting no scoring whatsoever.
Yeah, I
think you have some at 3 before we get to 4 o'clock.
Okay, so your next one's at 4?
Yes, I have a few at 4.
Okay. My favorite play of the day is at 3 o'clock. So if you want to throw a little bit extra on it, I am all for it. We are going to Troy and Texas Arlington. Chris, we bet the Troy Texas State under on Thursday, and you asked me. You said, "I'm guessing this is because Jordan Bernardo's out." Yes, it is, and he continues to be out. He's suspended for the rest of the season. Troy is out of the running for the Sun Belt tournament. An absolutely dreadful year for a team that really wasn't supposed to be that bad in the Sun Belt. Just all things unraveled. Their last 4 games, and mind you, Bernardo has missed the last 6, but the first 2 that he missed were against really bad Arkansas State and Arkansas Little Rock teams. When they've actually played quality competition, the last 4, they've scored 63, 51, 52, and 44 in their last 4 games without Bernardo. Their offense can't do anything without him. And now they play Texas Arlington. They just played Texas State, who had the best defense in the Sun Belt. Now they play Arlington, who has the second best defense in the Sun Belt. No one's going to be pushing the tempo here. Arlington also has the 7th best offense in the Sun Belt. It's really nothing to speak of. So I think another defensive game here. And this total, 137. Chris, let's put this into perspective. Ken Palm is projecting 136, but Ken Palm doesn't account for injury. So with Bernardo in here, he still says it doesn't get to 137. And now we're taking the best player on the floor out, and it's still 137. So best bet of the day, Texas Arlington and Troy under 137.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because obviously you figure, okay, how many points is a player worth? Well, sometimes when you have a guy who really is the hub of an offense,
especially in these mid majors where it
throws an entire offense off. So I like that pick from you.
All right, and then I do, but it's a little bit higher than what we got it at. So what we're going to say, actually, I think you might be able to get it at 150. Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, Monroe. I like the over 150. It's kind of hovering around there right now. I think we bet it at 149.
Yeah.
So okay to play at 150. These two teams, very good offensively. We just missed a Monroe over by a point. Point on Thursday. But Coastal will push the pace just as Appalachian State did. Chris, the other day, Appalachian State, that game should have easily went over, except they just decided to not score in the first 5 minutes of the game. Still almost went over.
Kind of how when I had Tulsa the other day and they went down 19-3 to Tulane.
Yeah. Sometimes you just can't anticipate how a team's going to come out of the gate.
They were covering an 11.5 point spread late in the second half, but they couldn't done because you figure you'll be up 22 if that doesn't happen instead of 12. So it is hard to recover from those.
Yeah. But we are going back to the well here with the over. Louisiana Monroe, best offense in the Sun Belt and the worst defense. So good combo for an over. Should be a good amount of free throws and a lot of 3-point shots being rained down in this game. As long as we make a few, we will hit this over. So 150, Coastal Carolina and Louisiana Monroe. And for reference, last time these two teams played, they scored 173.
Okay. Well, let's get to the 4 o'clocks, and I have my first one. We're going to the CAA, and is the Wilmington Charleston game. Now, this game, a little slight concern. It opened at 11.5. Charleston minus 11.5. It has since been bet down to 9.5. Now, I got it at 10.5, but I would still take it because I think Wilmington, not only the worst defense in the Colonial, but one of the worst defenses in all of college basketball. And Charleston does a really good job defensively themselves. Two things that Wilmington has kind of succeeded with in terms of helping them score during the Colonial play has been offensive rebounding and getting to the free throw line. And Charleston's very good at taking those away. It just seems to me like a blowout. This Wilmington team is really bad, and it's hard to really expect a lot from them when their defense is so bad. I think Charleston rolls over them, so I would lay the 9.5.
All right, Chris, we got a comment in the chat here. Vinny Cap says, "What the fuck is Chris wearing?"
Oh, this is the glasses we have for Leprechaun, and I expect him to wear them later.
All right, Vin, you're supposed to be wearing them later. We are coming up for the viewers that don't know. We are headed up to Hoboken to
not really care.
unite with Chris, and he said his response is big to your explanation.
It is
all
big.
Right, next.
You want me to keep 4? Just finish mine off at 4.
Yeah, I don't have any at 4, so go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna take. Actually, this is one of the first times we're gonna get it this year. I'm gonna take the Houston Cougars, Joe.
There we go.
About time taking Houston. They've been incredible all year, and they're facing UCF. UCF hasn't really done great against good teams, and I just don't think on the road at Houston, a place where it's so hard to play. And this Houston team has been really just incredible, scoring in bunches. They've hit 38% of their threes in conference play, shooting a ton of threes. And I think it's going to be too much for UCF to overcome. I don't think that they can really keep up scoring-wise. And then, the fact that UCF kind of gets by in these low-scoring games where their defense does well, they're going to have to really get to the free throw line a lot and actually make their free throws. And again, I've said it before, they only hit 64%, one of the worst marks in the nation. So I would lay the 7 with the Houston Cougars. And finally, one more play at 4 p.m. If it gets there, it's not there yet, but IUPUI is now plus 3.5, and I would bet them if they get to 4. And they're playing against Oakland. This IUPUI team, I honestly think, is one of the best teams in the Horizon League, not named Wright State or Northern Kentucky, maybe the best. But they've had a really tough go. They had a tough stretch where they lost 4 in a row, 5 to Wright State, by 1 to Illinois Chicago, by 2 to Youngstown, and by 3 to Cleveland State. Just a kind of a tough go. And they won back-to-back home games against Milwaukee and Green Bay, and then lost by 2 at Detroit. So they've been kind of a victim to some bad luck. But they played very well this year in some instances. They actually beat Oakland at home earlier. They knocked off Northern Kentucky. I kind of think that they're maybe not the clear third best team in this conference, but they're a lot better than how they've been playing lately. And I think they at least if they can get 4 points with Oakland, I think they'll be good because they're gonna win the rebounding battle here. They should be able to get to the free throw line. And Oakland has been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team here, where they've been missing Jordan Nobles. I think that's maybe thrown them off a bit. But they have struggled a bit against the conference's elite. I know earlier on they had that big win against Northern Kentucky, but other than that, they've lost to Wright State twice convincingly. Like I said, the aforementioned loss to IUPUI. The last few games, beating Milwaukee, Detroit, Illinois, Chicago, just not really that great of teams. So wait for the 4, and if you get the 4, I will take the Jags.
All right, what was the Houston line? I missed that.
Minus 7.
Minus 7, okay. All right, and IUPUI at 4?
Yes, 5? IUPUI plus 4.
Okay. All right, my next game is at – it was at 2. Wow.
Oh.
It's out of order on pregame for some reason. That's why I did not realize it was at 2. All right, let's go back to it. We are going to Illinois State, Southern Illinois.
I know, I forgot about this one.
I believe you still may have the line that we got available. It is
Yeah, it might be
pretty
some.
widely at 5.5 now, but we got 6. I'm okay with it at 5.5, but I would recommend you look around for a 6. We are taking Illinois State at Southern Illinois. Illinois State hasn't really been very good on the road this year so far, but I think that's a little bit just noise more than anything else. I think these teams are pretty much as close to even as you can get, and I think Illinois State actually has more talent than Southern Illinois. They just have not shown it this year. Malik Yarborough, one of the best players in the Missouri Valley. They finally look like they're starting to get their stuff together, though. And the last 2 games at home, they beat Drake and Southern Illinois. Drake and Missouri State, both at home, albeit, but those are 2 of the best teams in the Valley. So it seems like Illinois State might be getting it together at the right time here. Last year, they were one of the better teams in the Valley. They lost in the conference tournament championship to Loyola. But this year they were supposed to be one of the best teams in the league, and they just went on a brutal run where they lost 5 in a row, including that buzzer beater against Missouri State, the half-court shot, the crazy one. But it seems like things are stabilizing once again. They seem to get up to good competition. So this is a big game, last game of the season at Southern Illinois. I will take the Illinois State Redbirds +6. And I hope the talent wins out here. So that is, I believe, actually my final official play of the day.
Okay. Well, I've only got a few left. There's a couple that I'm waiting on, but I will run through them real quick. We've got, first off, 5:15, Western Illinois. Now, the line is now 17. I would still take it. I got it at 17.5, but this Western Illinois team just got floored by Denver, which is, a very bad sign. If you're a Division I college team, playing against Denver is should not be very hard. And now they go to South Dakota State, the best team in the conference. But I do think that this is just too many points here. I think Western Illinois is going to at least be competitive here, and they've shown they can. They won at South Dakota State. They beat Oral Roberts recently. They beat Fort Wayne. So they're not a good team by any means, but they have been able to be competitive at some times. And I think part of that is, they're not a bad 3-point shooting team. They do a pretty good job clearing the glass. So I think that they should at least be able to keep it close here. Interestingly enough, these 2 teams will probably be meeting each other in the first round of the Summit League Conference Tournament. It doesn't really seem like there's any chance that doesn't happen. Now, I understand that South Dakota State would like to win this game so that way they can lock up that number 1 seed in the Summit and avoid maybe Omaha tying with them. And I'm not quite sure what the tiebreaker rules are, but I don't think South Dakota State, I think they know that this is not going to need to be their home run effort. And I don't think they're going to give it. They probably, I would say they gave it against South Dakota, but they didn't really. And they've kind of struggled recently. Omaha beat them. Then they almost lost to North Dakota State in close game. They had to do late comebacks against Fort Wayne and South Dakota. Now, all of these teams are much better than Western Illinois. But again, we're getting 17 points here, folks. So I would take the Leathernecks at +17. Moving down the line at 6 p.m., got Air Force. Now, this is a line that I actually don't like quite yet. It's at 1.5, and I would like to wait till it gets to 1. But they're playing against Wyoming, a team who just got awful. Really, just a tough year for the Cowboys because they've had so many injuries. But I think it's going to, down the stretch, it has really shown, and they haven't won a game since that game against Colorado. Other than that, their only other win, they have San Jose State and then Dixie State. Those are only their last 2 wins of the past 2 months.
Dixie State, not D1.
Yes, not D1, and also they could only beat Dixie State at home by 2. So this team is really bad. They're banged up, and I don't see how Air Force loses this one. I know they're on the road, but Wyoming is just a really terrible team. So I think that Air Force gets it done here, but I don't want to lay too much. I want this game to essentially be a pick'em. So let's wait to see if we can lay 1 and get away with that. Moving down the line, just a couple more. We've got some late night action, which should be fun. Austin P, we're going to go with the Govs. Actually, I have a couple more. I have a decent amount, but there's But like I said, a few that I'm still waiting on. The Governors, I think they lost to Murray State at home. And the last time they did, I said, you know what? I think they're going to beat Murray in the second matchup. Now, they are 8.5-point dogs. I got the line at 9. I would still take 8.5, but this Murray team, I think, is just getting a little overblown. And I faded them the other day with Morehead State. That was very bad. Morehead scored 14 points in the first half. But this team, I just don't think, they're not on the same level as Belmont. I'm pretty confident that Belmont is a better team than Murray State and will make it into the conference tournament. But I think Austin Peay, this is a massive game for them. The last game of the conference season, of course. But I think they want to prove something here. They just lost at Eastern Kentucky, and they've got a good enough offense to hang with Murray State. And I think Figure and the boys will be able to, play with them. They're going to try their best to get to that 3 seed in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament. But I think getting 9 points here is just way too many. Moving down the line, a quick hitter, I'll just say Utah State. I would love to take them. I think it's a good spot, but I am a little worried, as we said earlier on the brunch this week, that they don't have the athletes to go with Nevada. Right now, they are +1. I'd like to wait until +2. I'm not going to purely take on the spot. I'd like some value.
So you are going to bet Utah State?
Well, it depends.
If it gets to 2?
I don't know. That's like one of those tough ones where you worry about the matchup, but the spot is really good. And if you get the value on the point spread, I don't know. I understand that Utah State will struggle because they don't have the athletes, but this is the biggest game they've had, I'm sure, in years.
Yeah.
And, it's a home game. They've been waiting for it for a while. They got killed by Nevada the last time. And the last game I will take.
Hold on, Chris. Before we get off of Utah State, I'm getting a little bit I'm getting a little bit frustrated with Craig Smith because I slide into his DMs on Twitter and then he'll respond once and then he stops responding. It's it's back in my single days when I used to try to talk to attractive girls and they answer me once
and then they kind of ghost you. Well,
yeah.
I'd like to have more faith in Craig than those girls. So hopefully
I told him. My response to him this time was, go beat Nevada, and then we'll talk to you next week. So let's see. Well, hey,
maybe, you know what? Maybe, Joe, maybe at maybe 11 p.m. Eastern time tonight, you'll get a DM that says,
that'd be big.
That would be pretty big. And that would be so let's just hope for that. Last one I like is actually my favorite play of the day, but you're not going to get it right now. That's New Mexico, the Lobos. It's at 2.5. I got it 1.5. I would like it to be at least 2. They are laying the points, but I don't really see how. I think them and Colorado State are pretty close to even. And now New Mexico, they've had some tough games. They lost to Fresno and Utah, and they lost to San Jose State. And that really takes the win out of your sails. But I expect a nice bounce back. And there's just too much value. They play really well at home in the pit. And Colorado State, yes, they did have that nice win at Boise, but again, I don't think they're really any better than New Mexico. So the fact that New Mexico, if you can get it laying 2, I think it's really good value here. So last thing, take the Lobos at -2, but wait for it.
All right, I have a few bonus ones that I'll throw in if we get to the line. We're kind of close to some of these, so let me just grab my handy-dandy notepad here. We have Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois. Right now we're hovering around 131. If we get to 132 there, we're gonna play that game. Both teams will play extremely slow. And Northern Illinois, their offense has been really coming down to earth in conference play. So two of the worst offensive teams in the conference, and 2 of the slower teams in the conference. So 132, we will play under there. And let me go back to my power ratings here because I did have a couple in there. George Washington. Right now, actually, my power ratings are telling me play George Washington at 6.5. I can't pull the trigger yet. They're just so bad. And I'm not sure, St. Bonaventure is really playing well. I'm just not sure how good St. Bonaventure actually is. I just think they're extremely well coached, and in a mediocre Atlantic 10, they've been getting some wins against bad teams. But if this line gets to 7, I think we're getting a little bit out of control. St. Bonnie on the road -7 with a team that's not really that great talent wise. So if it gets to 7, I will take the value with George Washington. I had VCU on the list, but that line has gotten out of control. And that may be it for me.
All right.
And I have Northern Iowa. If that line gets to 3, right now it's 2. If it gets to 3, I'm going to take Northern Iowa as well. So those are my extra picks. That is
all
it for
right.
me.
Sounds good. And Joe, as we speak, the Utah State line just went to a pick. So
it's going the other way.
Yeah,
it might be better off for you and us if we
to pass.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it might be. Oh, wait, it's Utah State -1. Joe,
wow,
the money pouring in on Craig Smith.
Yeah, well, I could see why like power rating numbers would make Utah State a favorite.
I have
the
game. I have the game at a pick essentially.
Yeah, I just like that might be one of those games where not to ignore power ratings, but there's other factors in play.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And the good thing is, Joe, at 8:30 p.m. when the game time rolls around, we'll be able to enjoy it because we'll be rooting for,
right, and we don't have to have money on it. Or
hopefully we'll be up. Yeah,
depending on how the day goes, we may have money on it.
Right,
all right. That's all I got. Thanks for watching the spread today. We'll be back next week. We'll have some conference tournament plays for you, and actually the first conference tournament championship is next Saturday. I believe it's the Ohio Valley, which will be wrapping up next week. So
that will be a good game, and I'm hoping we get I'll root for Figure, but I'm hoping we get Belmont Murray, and I think Rick
that would be a great one.
Joe, this might be the year for Rick Bird. It really might.
I think last year Alan Boston thought that it was the year for Rick Bird, but they lost to Murray.
They might get like a 12 seed if they win out.
Yeah, but Chris, are we really going to get sucked into this again? I guess we'll talk about this on the brunch.
Yeah,
we should. Good plug for the brunch. We'll be back this week talking conference tournament action. The Ohio Valley is the first of our conferences to start up, so make sure you tune into that on iTunes. Thanks for watching today. We'll be back next week. Good luck with all the bets today. And if you're attending Hoboken Leprechaun, hit us up.
Come say hi. We'll be at the Ainsworth.